Thank you. Thank you. Well done.
Got some theory. It's easy when you put it on a microchip. Okay, how many bands are there? How many frequency filters? Let me just count first. Is it 120? Is it 120? I think, is it 120 or is it more or less? Plus the rest. Let me think. Can I stop that movie and restart it? Does it replay? Oh yeah, it replays in the same position. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, no. Okay, so I need to go to the other computer. Computer? Hello, computer? Go to the REW. Signal generator. Tones. Okay, how many frequencies is it? Oh yeah, the signal tone generators on the Storm Audio go up in 0.5 dB steps. Do I count those as well? I guess you have to count them. You know, the tones on the on the Room EQ Wizard. Because this thing with this Trinov bass wave, I guess there's a lot of other people thinking, I wonder how that works. You know, all right, the French have been working on the damn thing for 4 or 5 years or something, and now it's released, and you got all the typical YouTube shills like Youthman, Tony from Australia. G'day, mate. Hey, it's Tony here. Yeah, first he says he's leaving back in December. Oh, now he's back again, mate. And then who's the other shill? Oh, Shane Lee, spare change or spare shill. Oh, and then you got the other one. Oh, for God's sakes, there's so many shills, you know. With you know, I bet Youthman will be buying a Trinov next. Mark my words, because he wants perfect luxury bass. But I'm just thinking, you know, you could use quite a lot of DSP software, Behringer FBQs. You could dial in practically quite a lot of frequencies to tackle the issue. You know, this. Oh, we want perfect bass. Oh, incidentally, probably want to listen to it firstly on headphones. Yeah, and see how perfect that sounds. Tone each sine wave tone on the Storm, not the Storm, the Trinor, not the Trin. My mind is bloody not thinking very clearly because my eyesight is it's the bloody sugar levels and my diabetes and the bloody insulin that I'm bloody taking, for crying out loud. The REW, the Room EQ was a tone generator. Or you could use the Storm Audio tone generator, and that only goes in one. That goes in frequency steps like 21, 20. Say start at 20 hertz, and then it goes to 21, 22, 23, and 24, and so on. On the REW, it goes in 5 decimal steps: 20, 20, 20.5, and then 21, 21.5, and so on. Because there are little things in between, you know. So I was just thinking, what if every frequency that you adjust has its own time delay, its own phase, its own, or basically every frequency in the low range that you adjust has its own DSP network. And so, though that seems, I don't think it seems crazy. If I can think that, then it's possible to design something like that. But with all this equipment, outboard equipment, it's a lot of equipment put together just to do it. But if it's condensed and then put down onto a small board, microprocessing chips or something, then yeah. Because at the end of the day, this whole thing's all DSP. I wonder if the bass waveforming can perfect the bass that you hear on your headphones. Oh dear. What will they think of next? Of course, they're only trying to sell you people like all these manufacturers that are aiming sub-bass speakers at the public just to get you to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of unnecessary, just so you can get perfect sub-bass to go from, say, 20 hertz up to 120. Really? There's a catch. There is a catch, and it smells, it smells very greedy, excessively greedy. You got to spend 40 grand first to get a Trinnov, and then the rest. Oh well, there's got to be a way around it. It might not be exactly the same, but it will come pretty close. Because I'm sure if someone were to dissect this Trinnov bass wave and literally dissect it and say, oh yeah, this is what's connected, and this and this and this is what makes it happen. But yeah, yeah, forever. Yeah, so how many frequencies? So I'm just going to ignore the 0.5. I'm just going to go in steps of like it would do on the Storm Audio. So that's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Flipping 100. Well, that completely exhausts on the FBQ. I'm only using so many frequency bands at the moment, and I only used my ears to listen. Oh dear, that's quite a lot of bands. That's like using two Behringer FBQs. That's two of them, and they're connected together. So you go from use channel A for the first block of 40. So it's got 40 bands, 40 bands of PEQ, and then you output channel A into channel B, and then that gives you 80. And then you get the other Behringer, put that together, daisy chain it together, and then that will give you 160 PEQ filters. I don't think you get that on a Trinot. I don't think you get that on a Storm Audio. I think the most it has is 20 bands on the Storm Audio. So if you want to do the sub bass and all that, although problem with the F Behringer FBQ, it can only go down to 20 hertz. Can't go any lower. But you can use another device that's connected, and it will go down a little bit lower just to tackle the other frequencies, where I've seen some frequencies typically around 10 hertz. It's a little bit too high and needs to be brought down slightly, so it's almost got the same the same level in frequency with all the other frequencies. But you got to bear in mind your crossover slopes, or any additional filtering on the processor. It's going to have a roll off, and then the frequencies are going to go. Yeah, you got to bear that. But then we don't hear like that, of course. Anyway, our hearing rolls off, doesn't it? Gosh, 120, 110 band filters. So you got the frequency, you got the phase, you got the time delay. I'm just thinking, none of that really exists in nature. You know, it's like going back in time and showing to medieval, a torch, and being able to turn something on and off in the dark, and they'll go, oh, burn the witch, burn the witch. They'll tie you up to the stake. Oh dear. Because really, it's artificial light. It doesn't exist in nature, unless, of course, it's a firefly or some organism, biological, that illuminates. What does this have to do with sub bass? Absolute nothing. It's just all this. Oh dear. It's an ego. At the end of the day, this all comes down to ego. How much money you got, and how much of it you're willing to expend and give to Trinov, and make them happy on their stock market shares, and make them richer, and thinking they are living a luxury lifestyle, riding around in their Lamborghini, Ferrari, Rolls Royce, Bentley, whatever. Oh, and then you say, "Oh, thank you." No, if someone out there can grab hold of this, and then just literally dissect it, just as you would do if you go into a laboratory and you're doing some dissecting to find out what makes it tick. and then just spill the beans and say, hey, everyone, this is how this works. And this is basically, you would need this and this and this put together, problem solved. Because, you know, everyone's working on it in a little laboratory, you know. If I can come up with an idea, I'll just think, fuck it, I'll give it away for free. I don't care about wanting to patent it and put it out there. I mean, Dolby Labs, they screwed me on my idea back in 1998. So why do I give a fuck anymore? I think it's just a case of there's a few more things connected. I mean, why have so many bloody sub-bass speakers in a room? I'm just thinking, you got to think physics and why multitudes? And you don't have to buy these stupid Ascendo subs that they're trying to sell on these Trinovs. You just look at any other conventional cheap little sub-bass driver and you buy that, and it's far cheaper. And you just saved yourself a bundle of money rather than buying this bullshit that they're trying to throw at the market and promote, like it's Trinov certified or something. You know, it's why the THX program doesn't exist anymore, really. And everybody thought that was a bit of a scam, or there was no point or logic to it. But the THX home program wasn't exactly selling loads and loads and loads and loads of sub-bass speakers back around in the early 90s. It was at the most 2 sub-bass speakers or 2 boxes that they say are for sub-bass, and that was it. Though, you know, you go to a cinema, you go to a dubbing stage. Today, you know, they use sub-bass speakers for the surround speakers just to extend the frequency response down a little bit lower. But if you've got so many banks of surround speakers going around a room, if they're all summed up, yeah, they could give a tone of maybe 20 hertz in the room without a sub-bass, depending on what size the speakers are, and they could produce a tone that you notice. And then you start subtracting some of the speakers by turning all the rest of them off. Then you watch the frequency level, and then at the SPL level on the, say, 20 hertz sine wave, and it gradually goes from here, from up here, and then it goes down and 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 down. Plus where they're located in the room. Oh yeah, does Trinov do bass waveforming for the surround speakers and the screen channel? Otherwise, it's like diverting the bass from all the other channels and putting it into this bass waveforming sub bass speaker thing. Yeah, I can see this whole thing getting a lot of criticism and a bit of cynicism and how to justify it and the price. It's like, oh, here we go again. They're trying to sell sub-bass speakers to everybody. Like someone that's got 30 sub-bass speakers in their room. Now, if you had a sub-bass speaker system that was outdoors or a little bit further away from the room, and you got very large opening where kind of like, you put your hand around your oh la, and the tone goes down a manifold, a tunnel, a tube or such, and then comes into the room. What would that sound like? It'll have a very wide opening, or kinda. Um, I think that's going a little bit too far, and I don't think it's very practical for most people's homes. Not practical for mine. I couldn't fit a thing like that. Um, though maybe it's possible in the ceiling. Oh yeah, the infinite baffle. Oh yeah, the IB, the infinite baffle. I always thought about wanting to do one of those, but never thought about much going up into the loft and looking for a location, position, and then cutting a hole so it comes into the room. Put all the fittings in, and then fit the sub bass box with the drivers and such. Yeah. Mm, mm. Oh, I don't know what the logic is for this bass wave. I mean, I felt all that. What everyone's trying to describe in these videos, I felt all that. At the CIC High Wycombe in Buckinghamshire, the THX cinema. I felt all that back in 1990. I heard it, I felt it, or was it I felt it and then heard it, or then listening to the detail of it, thinking, "Wow, it's not distorting. It seems like incredibly uniform, going down from to the lowest frequency and then coming up through the frequency range, and then as it's playing random musical notes on a music score, on a film score, and feeling the energy hitting, pressing against my body, pressing. It felt like my cat walking over my chest, and you got the paws, pressing in like, ew, that's creepy, you know. Um, it felt like that, and it was directional. Mm. And there's very little technology that would have been in the projection room to do all that. You got the projector, which is kind of like the A chain. You got the film print, which is kind of like the A chain, and it goes through to the B chain cinema processor, the THX crossover system, the amplifiers, and the speakers, or actually the speaker cables, and then the whatever else is connected to those cables. I have no idea. And then to the JBL speakers, and to where those speakers were specifically located for the surround speakers. Very difficult to tell because you couldn't even see them in the auditorium. They're hiding behind fabric, or maybe disguised within columns that they had along the auditorium. It could have been placed in those columns. Very hard to tell. But there's speakers behind the screen. But where to actually the actual photograph doesn't exist. I haven't seen a photograph publicly that shows the construction of that multiplex, which had probably been around 1987, and it opened. No, it opened. I think it was 1986 construction, possibly, and then it opened in 1987. And it was the first THX cinema in the UK. See, I know how arachnophobia is supposed to feel and sound like. And that was absolute. Oh, I had no idea what the SPO levels were in the C range was. It didn't hurt my ears, but it was felt very like you got a, like I say, maybe like you got a cat crawling over you with its paws, or maybe maybe a small rucksack, not too heavy, and it's laying on your chest. Oh dear. And there's no idea what the actual construction of that auditorium was. I was pretty certain it had a very solid floor, if not concrete. But there was definitely something very special going on in that auditorium. So at the most, they probably had a single. They probably had standard singles, JBL 4675As. That's just twin 15s, bass cab for left, center, right. Not too sure if they had a left center, right center, because they had 70mm capability. So I'm not sure if they had the left center, right center. Some cinemas sometimes don't have the left center, right center. And I heard a rumor. This is coming from projection. I was speaking to someone as early as 2000, I think, and they said they only had 2 JBL sub-bass speakers in that auditorium. I think. And those sub-bass speakers weren't near the floor. They would have been located up above the floor. They would have been off the floor and somewhere behind that screen in specific locations, but somewhere behind it. As to whether they used any maybe special additional sub-bass units connected to the surround channels to give it a bit more low-end extension, I don't know. You couldn't even see in that, or it was very difficult. Everything was hidden. You only heard, or rather you felt and heard, felt or listening, I don't know. It's felt or heard the sound. Literally, the moment the THX Broadway or the THX Wings trailer starts, literally, in the first few seconds, you feel it against your body. Literally, you're feeling, what the bloody hell is this? In the home, it's very difficult. It's not impossible. But chances are you wouldn't even feel it or notice it in the first few seconds until it gets a about maybe 10 or 20 seconds into it, and then you start noticing you feeling it. And by the time that happens, it wouldn't be anywhere near the weight pressure as what it was at High Wycombe. Oh, flipping heck. Talk about sucking the air out of the auditorium. God. It definitely put that Ascendo sub-bass speaker in its place. And that was a large auditorium. That's larger than that room. That auditorium was larger than that Ascendo theatre thing or whatever it is in Germany or Belgium or wherever it is. The actual site at, I think it's now owned by a different cinema chain, probably Cineworld, I guess. Originally, it was operated by CIC Cinema International Corporation, UCI Cinemas. And then a couple of decades later, it changed operator to Empire Cinemas. And then I think they got bought out, and Cineworld now own it, but it's still the original site. But the auditorium itself, the original auditorium, has been completely gutted and refurbished, and that was many years ago. But the actual shell of the auditorium is still intact, but the actual aesthetic of the auditorium no longer exists, only in photographs. So I'd imagine going there today, if I were to go in there and if I were to watch the same movie again, Arachnophobia, I don't think it would come anywhere near or close to what it was originally. Maybe the actual screen and everything, all that's probably completely changed, because I haven't seen a photograph that looks forward into the auditorium. I was only seeing a photograph that's looking in towards the rear of the auditorium, and it's completely changed. And I can't remember where to find the pictures, but the pictures are out there where it was refurbished, and it's a shame, really. It's a shame. So once you've got something that's good and it works, why change it? It's like all these movie soundtracks. Bloody hell, they mess around with it for the home market. The original film mix, they mess around with it, and it doesn't sound anything like the original. But the originals still exist. You can get hold of them. It's just these new versions that they're trying to Atmos it, and it sounds absolutely atrocious. Because it's only going to appeal to little kiddies with mummy's rich people's mummy and daddy, and little kiddies in their 20s and and they're still living in mummy daddy house. They haven't even left the bloody nest yet. They're still living with mummy and daddy. Oh. Oh dear. Yeah, so it's like having a Behringer DCX. A lot of them. I mean, a lot. Maybe about 100. No, not exactly 100 because they got 6-channel outputs. So you put a mono signal into a DCX. You put a mono signal into a DCX, an LFE sub-bass signal, which is just a boring channel. It's just a single mono boring channel. And you think it's doing oh wow, all that, but it's just a single mono channel. You've got 6 outputs on the DCX. And it's like daisy chaining all the DCXs together. So the first channel on the DCX will be 20 hertz. The next channel output will be 21. This is absurd. I think this is absolutely absurd. And then you're going to basically, once all those things are all daisy chain, you have a stack of DCX. I mean, really, talk about overkill. Oh dear. And then all the outputs basically go to a single sub bass speaker for, say, where in the room, I don't know, maybe the left side or over the right side, depends. And then you got on each one of those frequencies outputs, you would have delay, phase, polarity. That's basically it. So you got variable phase, time delay in inches, or you can do it in feet. It's better to do it in inches because then you're doing it finely, adjusting it. No, that's like having a Cray supercomputer in your room. If anyone's seen one of those Cray supercomputers, they are a monstrosity. No, I don't think so. That's not happening. Unless you got a very big home. It's not happening here in my home. Oh dear. And then you just go to someone that knows how to do electronics. I know someone, and then say, hey, could you take all this and then simplify it and condense it and put it down into a smaller size? They'll probably say, I'm busy doing this at the moment, blah, blah, blah. I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. I've got a friend that's designing me something at the moment for a lighting system, but it's not ready yet. The circuit boards are ready, but it's not had any components put on it yet. So he's got something to do for someone else, and this is a little project for me. So there's no rush for it. There's no rush. But if it was something like audio, it'd be like, oh gosh, blimey, this is a pretty big project. Might take me a while to do it because it's just knowing what certain components that go on that circuit board that do specific things, and it's designing those, whether they are EEPROM chips, EEPROM programmable, or something other. And of course, it's designing the circuit board, which is the most difficult part. That's the most difficult part, is designing the circuit board. and then the certain microprocessing EPROMs or what, and then the rest of the components that go on it. Those are usually generally cheap as fish and chips. And then it's testing it and seeing if it works. And to someone that might be skeptical, like thinking, what's the point of all this? I mean, I suppose when you look at sub-base transducers, you hold it in your hand, which is totally different to how it is mounted to a seat, because it would resonate, it would do certain things, and then you start playing the sine wave tone, going through it step by step by step, each sine wave low frequency one at a time, noting the voltage level on a voltmeter. You could have a microphone that's put near to it as well, and it'll monitor the acoustical, partly some of the acoustical sound coming from that sub-bass transducer, because if it's coupled to something, it's going to be audible. And noting how smooth it is. It will have a resonant peak in it somewhere, and then you've got to lower that slightly. But it should have almost a consistent, and you get it in the seat. You can have it in every single seat and everybody's happy. It's cheaper as well. It would have to have its own EQ on it as well, because it needs to be adjusted so you get a smoothness going through it. But probably wouldn't need excessive EQ as something that's going completely airborne. And though these transducers, they're connected to the seat, and if you stood away from the seats, you would hear certain tones. You wouldn't hear the very, very low ones, but once it gets up to a certain point in the frequency range, the seats will become slightly audible. And then, of course, it's adjusting and being very careful that you don't get the seat to rattle and buzz, but eventually a seat's got to rattle or buzz. It does the same exact in the real world. You go on a bus, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of engine mechanical vibration and acoustical, as well as the vehicle across the terrain surface, which is all bumps, and and you got the suspension, and you got the shaking at this side and that, and if I do that and move the seat, boom, 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 makes a sound. Of course it does. And you get squeaky seats. It depends on how all the fittings are. Big deal. Accept it. Live with it. Get over it. I guess most people don't listen to themselves. Listen to your body. I listened to my body this morning. I felt a little bit shaky, jittery, and I still get this trembling in my left side, left arm. I still get this trembling. That's something to do with my diabetes or the medication or a combination of both. I find it unacceptable, and my eyesight vision is slightly out of focus because of the medication. Oh, yeah. Anyway, it's a load of bollocks. I think this Trinov, it's a load of bollocks. Next thing you know, Storm Audio's coming out with the same thing. And if you've got 32 channels on your Trinov, you're going to be trading off just for some mono or diffused sub bass thing. You're going to be trading off the actual directional channels. I thought that's what everyone wanted in a trim of, you know, more channels going along the sidewalls and such. Boring. Rather have some trade-off there and use it for below surround. Discrete next below surround. Otherwise, you build something, then you add it on to the system as an extension unit, and you add on something cheap and affordable, and it's got all the output, would do all these outputs and so forth, rather than trading off the actual processor's actual channel. That's like having a CB radio and trading off 40 channels to be used as I don't know what, but I don't think you'd be hearing much on it, and I don't think you'd be doing much modulation on it. Yeah, it's better to use this whole thing. It's better to use some Behringers, FBQs, DCXs, and then you can daisy chain a DCX, loads of them, and you could do sub bass until you're blue in the bloody face. It's unlimited with a DCX. It's totally unlimited, and as long as you're buying them cheap on eBay, second hand. And then you got yeah, you can go from 6 outputs to 12 to 24 and so on. You just keep adding and adding and adding. And of course, when you listen to the pink noise of each sub bass speaker in a room, they tonally sound different. And you monitor it with the microphone or microphones, and you think, maybe I'll readjust the crossover, tune it down a little bit, because one part of the corner in the room is boosting it excessively a little bit too much. And you want to slightly adjust it, and then turn it off, mute it, and then go to the next sub bass speaker along the wall, or maybe it's in the ceiling, maybe it's in the floor. Depends on how the room is constructed. You could put sub bass speakers in the floor, or if you've got something that's going down pretty far, like if you've got a big home, you're on the top floor or whatever, and you got the you could build something to go down pretty far, even as far as going down to the ground floor into the basement. And though that's quite a bit of distance, yeah. And then you could get someone to excavate in the basement, make it a little bit deeper, and go down another extra 10 foot. And then you put a sub bass box system, especially down there. Then you got this tube manifold coming up, and it's disguised. You can't see it. It's below the floor, and it's disguised. And then low frequency waves can come up through it, and then give some acoustical and maybe some mechanical vibration. It might sound uniform on every single frequency. Maybe it might only need very tiny little adjustments in smoothing down, reducing down some of the other frequencies, and then yeah. Or you just look at it and think, well, there's not much a whole lot deviation going on. You know, if you got too many frequencies that are deviating too high or such, you adjust it. But if there is very little deviation, you don't really need to adjust it, really, to be honest, because you're not going to bloody notice it. When a film soundtrack or music is playing, all those musical notes are completely random. It's not like using a sine wave tone where it's clinically in a ideal situation, oh yeah, I'm looking at that I want it. Oh yeah, I want that absolutely zero smooth and that one and that one and that one. But when you listen to a system playing, to be honest, you're not going to notice much because the frequencies are all randomly changing in the film mix and the music. Unless you really focused on the sound and you're listening and you memorize a specific scene and where the bass, you feel it on your body in the seat, or if you're standing up and you're watching the scene and you feel it and you notice it, because standing up versus sitting down are two things they're two different things entirely. You just make a note of it and then you say play that again and turn it off, and then you notice and then think, it's only a little bit different, and turn it back on and it's like, yeah. One, you don't really want it booming too low in the low, or booming too much in the frequencies because the room bloody magnifies the sound. You don't want it just those frequencies excessively peaking because they're not doing that on headphones. When you look at the signals, actually look at the look at the actual film soundtrack directly on an RTA, where the peak frequency, where the sound, where this scene is playing. Look at the frequencies where they're going versus how it is with this wave bass thing, and then look at what it's doing. So the original, the soundtrack, that's the original that's mixed. You look at the direct signal versus the direct signal from this bass wave thing on another RTA analyzer, and you look at the other one where it's acoustically within the room and see what's going on. So you've got 1, 2, 3 things to analyze and seeing what's going on, because they should match, shouldn't they? They should be matched to the original soundtrack because that's the director's intent. Director's intent. I doubt the bloody director in a dub stage walks around the dub stage listening and thinking, oh, there's not enough bass in the front row. Because usually they're sat at the back, aren't they? And they're not too far away from the back wall and all that. And a lot of crappy movie soundtracks around today. Those John Wick movies, load of rubbish. Total mindless bloody load of violence. And I don't even play those movies anymore. I don't even care I don't even care to buy the fourth John Wick. I really don't care for the character anymore. Don't care for his character. Sorry, Keanu. I don't care for your character. It's boring. I thought you should have been killed when they bloody shot you. How many bloody times you fall off a hotel, land, boom, boom. You should have had your bloody back broken, your neck broken. Oh, boring. Doesn't anyone find those John Wick movies boring? Unless you're a complete you like violence and such, and I don't particularly like it myself anymore. I find it disgustingly repulsive. I find it. If it were maybe over 20 years ago, oh yeah, I'd probably enjoy it, but people change, So yeah, I think the gun sound effects in those movies sound crap. I mean, if anyone's had guns fired at them, and anyone's had guns fired at themselves, you know, they don't usually have all that boom, 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 boom on the bloody low end, for crying out loud. And can you actually feel, you know, when someone, I saw this video, it was another on that Tony, what do you call it, bloody video, that Tony guy and that Australian guy, Trinov bloody bass wave. And you got this Australian girl, oh yeah, great, oh mate, oh yeah, I feel the recoil. The recoil? Oh, right, so you actually had a rifle, so it's in your shoulder and you're holding it, and it's those weapons are bloody heavy. I can't, I forget what the what used to be the British. It might still be the British standard rifle. I think it was called an SA something. And I held one, but it only fired pellets or pellets. You know, like air sort of things. At a, you know, it was, you know, down at a air show or something down Bournemouth many years ago. And I think you only had about one, two, three. I think you only had about 4 shots. And you could still feel a little bit of the recoil hitting you in the shoulder. And you know what? I didn't even like that one bit. Didn't like it. So yeah, when you're holding it up, yeah, they're fucking heavy to pick up, and you feel this kick like bang in your shoulder. Ugh. I lived quite happy without all that. And so yeah, oh yeah, I can feel the recoil. Yeah, right, sure you can. You felt the recoil in your shoulder, did you? Fucking hell. And when you're holding a pistol, I've seen stupid movies where when they're firing, they're doing all this boom, 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 all this shit. Yeah, when they're firing. So the bullets are not aiming at the character coming speeding down in a car. The bullets are going upwards. It's like when me and my dad we actually chased bank robbers in the car. This is about 1986. A lady's going, "We're being robbed. The post office is being robbed." I'm looking around thinking, "Where's the robbery?" "It's outside. It's outside." I look outside. Think, it's down. And there's a post office red van here, or post office. This is the post office van, and this would be a yellow bus. Basically, the post office van is near the curve, near the pavement, and the bus boxed it in. You know, it's like the movie Heat. What if you do have me boxed in and I got to put you down, you know? And basically, the bus was boxing it in so to prevent it from pulling out and getting away. Um, but one of the bank robbers aimed a shotgun at the bus driver, probably said something like, "Move that fucking bus or I'll blow your fucking head off." And the bus eventually moved because that's what happened in the interviews later in the day. The bus driver was threatened with a shotgun, and so therefore he was not going to risk his life, and he was going to move the bus. And then the post office van then pulled out, and then me and my dad were in the car, and then we're following behind. You know, post office van's going there. We're following behind. Eventually, it turns down a road, and then we follow behind it, and it's going down halfway down this road. I think where they had this would be the getaway car. So they left the post office van, I think, in the middle of the road, and I can't remember where the getaway car was. It was slightly something like that. So the getaway car was parked, and then they stopped the post office van and then started unloading it in a hurry. I think there was nearly somewhere near to about 200 grand or something in that post office van. They left at least 50,000 or maybe 20,000 or so on the pavement in a bag in cash. No, laying in the middle of the road because they were in such a hurry. um, and so we're many car lanes behind them. And we could see them unloading, and we steadily went past, ignoring. And then eventually there will be another road turning coming up, another turning, another junction to turn left or right. And they drove past us in their Ford Sierra. We were in a Ford, I think it was a Corsair. I think it was like it's not a Cortina. I think it was called a Corsair, Ford Corsair or something. Anyway, they drove past very slowly, very steady, 30 mile an hour, not to draw too much attention. And then they turned right. And then we turned with them, and they were heading down towards Malmesbury Park Road, which in front of it was a school. I think the school was closed. I can't remember what it wasn't open. The school wasn't open at the time, so it could have been half term or something. And this is where suddenly, I don't know why my dad did it, suddenly accelerated the car because they were stopped, and then he suddenly, bam, into the back of the car. I tell you, I never felt a jolt like that, hitting a car before. And the bank robbers in the back seat of the car, there were four of them. There were four of them, armed to the bloody teeth, with the intent to get away, and they would bloody kill you. They turn around like this way, and they're looking. You know, it's like one turns that way in this seat, the other one turns to look behind them and thinking, "What the fuck?" And it was only about 4 seconds or such, and then suddenly the getaway driver accelerates, pulls away. So it'd be once got across the road and going around this school where the roads curve. The roads are all curving going around this, you know, and it was just only about 4 seconds and 5 and 6 7 8 9 10 25, maybe to about 25 seconds or so into the pursuit. The right rear in the seat, one of the bank robbers with a pistol, he leans out, so he's right-handing, he's leaning out like this, out the, he's not even got sight line with his pistol. So basically they put 3 bullet holes in their own getaway car in the blind spot, and probably to this very day the other bullet that fired over our heads, or it probably went into the, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, it probably wouldn't be able to find that bullet today. Be needle in a haystack, and even if it does, it'd be rusted and um, but they fired 4 times. I just kept saying to my dad, "Keep going. They're firing blanks. They're bluffing." Not to know later in the day there were bullet holes in the car, and they were seriously armed. They had shotguns, everything. Shit. And we were going high speed, going around all this, doing 60, 80 mile an hour, you know, because you've got to slow down and, you know, a little bit, going around corners and such, so you don't flip the car over. Oh, that was exhilarating shit, I tell you. But the gunshots don't sound anything like in these blokes. They were just sharp sounds. That's why I think a lot of movies sometimes sound like total bullshit. Especially bad sound editing and bad mixing and continuity. It doesn't give any sort of psychoacoustic realism. though some directors or that they would know, they would pick up on this and think it's got to be mixed like this because that other movie I heard is total bullshit. You got to mix it with like carefully psychoacoustics. Like these John Wick movies, they don't even have any of that. It's just a those movies may as well be played back in mono. Because there was a heck of a lot of mechanical vibration during the chase, car swerving and accelerating, gear changing, and all that. You can feel all that here, the acceleration, the exhaust, and everything. Engine revving, wind blowing, and all that. As well as clear sound in the vehicle. Not like those movies sometimes where but there wasn't too much conversation. It was just we're trying to put them down. But this is where they get up to another road where we lived in, and I think it was Lounsdown Road, and during the pursuit, they got across the road in time, and it was busy hour in the morning, and there's traffic going left and right. We had to wait at least maybe 30 seconds until we can get across the road. The problem is, the road they went into, it splits and goes around. One of my cats want to come in the room. Oh, it's Bear. And so we got two options. Do we go left or we go right? If you go left, it goes down to a dead end, where it's near what's called a dual carriageway, and then there's an underpath that goes underneath it. We went right, and then that right turning eventually comes out to another road. But that's where we thought we got no sight line with them anymore, and they could have gone down. They could have gone out into the other road. They could have gone left. They could have gone right. So we gave up. It didn't last that long. That pursuit. Of course, they went left. Had we gone left, they would have opened fire on us, and I wouldn't be here today. Would most likely be dead because they were like armed with pistols and shotguns and God knows what else they had in their arsenal. They were serious intent to getting away with that money. Oh yeah, 4 of them, and they're going to divide that money. Oh yeah, that might be a lot of money back then to them, but to me, no, that's not a lot of money. I think that was just plain stupid. Yeah, it's obviously they got away they went under the underpath, which would come out into a road where I'm pretty familiar with. And they would have looked around and probably stolen any motor car, broke into it, used those shatter the windshield, the not the windshield, the glass, open the door, get in, hot wire it, all get in, off they go. Eventually, they did get caught, or at least a few of them got caught. A few decades later. Their age at the time, they must have been between their middle 30s. They must have been aged in their 30s. Me, I was in my very, very early. Oh gosh, I wasn't even in my 20s then. Yeah. Whew. I think I said this story quite a few times. So yeah, I know what it's like to be shot at. It's not nice. It's very scary. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it's my left side that always trembles. I know the heart is on the left side. Anyway, subs and do we really care about subs? I mean, if you actually hold a sub bass speaker in your hand, or or put it against your chest, yeah, that's pretty eerie. Ugh. You feel the music or a movie soundtrack, and it's very eerie. It's almost it's like what the fuck? Heard bleeping in here with the microwave oven. You boys have been fed. Yeah, they were pressing the button on the microwave. Which one of you boys were doing that? I can only nominate Bear. Yes, Bear. You're pressing buttons on the microwave oven. No, your boys are being fed. The boys are being fed. He's pressing buttons on the microwave oven. They are getting clever and smart. My one of the district nurses that come round to take my sugar levels and do the insulin every day, they were telling me about no, I think it was today. Yeah, one of the nurses that came round. She says, no, it wasn't her. She's got no. One nurse has got cats. It was the other nurses the other day. That's it. They were telling me about a dog and a cat, and they work together as a team to get the food out of the refrigerator or the cupboard. They work as a team. Oh my goodness. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Because you go into your kitchen in the morning, you think, what the? They got all the food out of the cupboard. It's all opened up. Everything except the tin can tomato, the tin can soups and all that. But everything else is all over the. You think, bloody hell. Oh. Oh dear. Yeah, it's like children in a family. One is very hungry, go down in the middle of the night and raid the kitchen fridge. And when the parents come down in the morning, they think, what the blazes? Where the blazes all this gone? And then it's like, all right, which one of you buggers been in the fridge? I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Uh huh. Yeah, and you got to put a child lock on it with a combination to keep them out of the fridge. Just like cats, they are children. They're just like cats, curious. Oh my goodness! I think cats gradually they gain a little bit more intelligence. Um, probably every few generations they some form of intelligence. I'm just going to play my sub bass sine wave tone, see if it's still the same as what it was yesterday when I programmed this. And then I had to put all the information, type it down, so in case it gets broken, and then all that data is lost. So I got it saved, but that data will get changed because I was expecting an audio mixer to turn up today, but it's been delayed. It got a bit of a cock up in the courier, because it was supposed to have been delivered yesterday, but got a little bit of a cock up in the communication. It's okay. It'll probably turn up tomorrow. It's a 32 channel audio mixer. I think it's got 24 XLR and it's got additional TRS on it. Yeah, of course, you've got all the FX, pan pots, faders, balance level, basic, certain specific basic EQ filters on it. And I think it's got some FX effects on it as well. And it comes with its own flight case as well. It's got its own flight case, so once I'm finished with it, I can pack it all up and put it away safely. Oh yeah, where do I generate? I think I'll try the Storm. No, not the Storm, the REW. Yeah, I'll use that generator. I've got to go into the Storm processor. I've got to set the speakers for the LCRs, just set them to large. No, large and sub. That's it, large and sub. That would divert the signal down into the sub bass channel if I'm using the REW, and I won't be using the Storm sound generator. Turn the fader up a little. Mute the other channels on here. Unmute the sub. Turn that fader up a bit. Turn it up. There we go. Leave it there. Okay. And if I generate a tone, I should get a sine wave sound. Should. Oh yeah, there we go. Got a sine wave tone. Put the mouse on there and use the keyboard. I think I'll turn the level up. Sounds a little bit faint. It sounds a little bit on the quiet side. That does. Turn that up a bit. That's a bit of a dip. That there has gone down a bit. Oh, that's a bit of a sudden rise in the level there. Yeah. That needs to be addressed in the PEQ filter on the DCX, the FBQ. That's rattling my door there because the door's not firmly closed. that's at 42 hertz and it's rattling the door a little bit. And if I stand up, the SPL level goes up. Oh, move around the room. Gets a little bit excessive here. It's only rattling. Just move the door a little bit. That's okay. That's, oh, it's starting to do it again. It's only certain fittings on the door. Because the pressure, if I put my hand on this acoustical foam thing here, I can feel it resonating. And I move around the room. Whoa, it's a little bit loud there. Unnatural. Sounds like some bloody mechanical machinery. That's bloody unnatural. Down to 39.5. It's starting to rattle again because of 35.5, 30, 27, 26, 25. Oh, that pressure feels very large for the size of the room. 20 hertz, and the door's vibrating again because of the pressure. It needs a little fitting, adjusting on that door so it doesn't rattle. Now it's at, hang on, go up to 20 hertz. Go down to 18.5 hertz, and the door's rattling a little bit more because the it's like the sub bass is moving just a little bit excursion, and it's doing that flexing against the door. That's a sound you don't really want to hear. It's 18 hertz now. It's going a little bit more. It's kind of tapping, like 17.5 hertz, 16 hertz. It's still rattling at 16 hertz, that door. 15 hertz. And that's JBL's. I'm just going to mute it. I'll just turn that sine wave off. Oh, because that's bloody annoying hearing that rattling. I've got to secure, make the door a little bit more secure so it doesn't rattle. But it is interesting because the wavelength on the frequency is long. That 16 hertz is longer than this room length. If I open the door a little bit and measured the, I think I got the window open just a tiny little bit. That's going to change the waveform in the room, the wavelength and such. The window is only open a small amount. If I open it a little bit more, it gives a frequency, not the frequency, the SPL level goes up by a few dB, 3 dB, I think it is, goes up by 3 decibel. If I open the doors and such, it changes the SPL level because that 16 hertz is longer than my, yeah, that's pretty long wavelength. But the pressure, yeah, still my JBLs can do it. I don't need 33 or 80-inch sub-bass speakers. I don't need that. If it can do it, it can do it, then fine. But I don't want to hear those infrasonics audibly. That I'm hearing the door because it's tapping against the door, and it's go back up to 25 hertz. I'm going to step down in frequency. What's the actual SPL level in the room? So it does seem a little bit uncomfortable. At 20 hertz, the SPL level's up to about 93. Actually, I've got to take, actually, it's probably around about, yeah. It's around about 93 dB. That's a little bit, it sounds like being on a bus almost, where the engine is making a noise. You can talk over that frequency because it's just low frequency, and I'm talking over that frequency with middle and high frequency sounds. 19 hertz, and that door is still rattling. The SBL level now is still around about, it's about 92 dB. It's gone down a slight bit. Just put it on my lap. It's about almost 81 dB, 17.5 hertz. That door is just going boom, 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 because it's bouncing within the frame. All I have to do is just move it. It's where the latch, because I haven't chiseled out in the frame. I haven't done the chiseling out, and because the door originally used to be on the opposite side, and I flipped it upside down and turned the door around, but I haven't chiseled out in the wood frame yet to put a little. That's it. Just move the door a little bit like that. That's okay. But there is something I can audibly hear. I'm probably generating a few harmonic frequencies. Oh, I'll turn that off a little bit because 17.5 hertz, that's rather taxing. But I know there's some harmonic frequencies there. I'm just going to use this microphone. I'm not using the binaural RTA. If I turn on the RTA, yeah, a microphone's on. I wouldn't be surprised to see some harmonic frequencies, and if I do, I'll turn the level down because you should only sense infrasonic. Shouldn't really hear all those harmonic frequencies. Turn the generator back on. Where is it? 17.5 hertz. And the generator, RTA. Yeah, I can see harmonic frequencies. Fundamental frequency. Fundamental frequency is there, up here, and there's a harmonic 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm seeing about 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm seeing about 5 harmonic frequencies. Fundamental, and then harmonic, harmonics, and harmonics, and harmonics, and harmonics. If I turn the fader level down, those harmonics will disappear. Just kind of like it's a kind of magic. So I'm still seeing the fundamental. I'll turn it down. Turn it down. That's it. That's about right. And I still notice this very unusual infrasonics low frequency, but it's not generating wads of harmonic frequencies. You know, that's probably what the youth man, he doesn't check. You know, he brags about how bloody great his speakers are and all that shit, for Christ's sake. Oh dear. But yeah, are you looking at the harmonics? Because if I start playing the other frequencies, they will be audible. So that's 17.5 hertz there. It's like something like very weird sounding. I've got the 20, 22. Yeah, I can hear the tones are becoming to be a bit audible, but they're not playing at a high SBL level. So yeah, it's balancing things carefully. So I've got to take the fader level up a little bit. 38 hertz, and it's watching harmonics and listening to. I'm sure the Trinov does all that. It's looking at harmonics and so forth, and what's going on, and who cares? I don't care for John Wick, and everyone they care for John Wick movie. Like they should feel sorry for the bloody movie or some bullshit. It's a crap movie, crap sound mix, crap Dolby Atmos, total crap and unnecessary, mindless bloody load of bullshit violence. Oh, of course I don't have to watch it. Of course, yeah, you're damn right I don't have to. I might as well throw those John Wick movies I got on the throw them in the dustbin because I don't watch them anymore. People get over these sort of things, and then people think Dolby Atmos is a bit of a gimmick in most of the time. It is a gimmick. It's a gimmick when they are using old movies and they're trying to create a fake Dolby Atmos mix. It's a gimmick. Just so as long as it's encoded with gimmickry, fake bullshit up mixing, and it's got Atmos on it, and then gullible people on YouTube will buy that rubbish, not knowing it's a fake. And yes, there are some gimmickry, crappy native mixes where I've noticed in the overhead surround some very appalling, atrocious mixing where suddenly they bring the sound effects down rather too quick on the faders and such. I can hear all that. And I'm hearing all these other weird things going on and thinking, bloody hell, that is absolutely. This is on the movie, that overrated rubbish movie called Fury with a tank. And it's got some appalling mixing in the overhead surrounding some part of the scenes in that movie. Absolutely appalling. And I'm thinking, in this day and age, bloody hell, aren't those mixers listening? And then they can tell, well, I think we brought that down a little bit too quick on the fader, because they can't hear it unless they go back and listen to it afterwards, because they're mixing with everything else going on, and then go back and proof listen and think, oh, yeah, that sticks out like a sore thumb, that does. And you got to make it seem like it's natural, not sounding like a bloody audio record mixing. Isn't that what Dolby Labs say? Isn't that what the promotion says on the bullshit Odeon iSense? It's more natural, lifelike. That's just bad bullshit marketing, I tell you. And you got that stupid video Youth Man did the other day. And you got this guy. Oh, I wonder how much Youth Man paid that guy. Oh, the Dolby Atmos isn't a gimmick. I'm here to say, yeah, bullshit. Oh, that Midway movie. Ugh. That Midway movie is a little bit flawed in the mixing, especially when you hear aeroplanes literally overhead. They're on the bridge inside this battleship cruiser or whatever, and suddenly you clearly hear the sound of aeroplanes literally overhead. How can they possibly hear that? There's steel plating or whatever above their heads. It's impossible to hear sound like the way you hear it. It's like, oh, it's even got high frequencies on it. You hear these airplanes literally coming down in the middle part of the room and in the overhead surrounds. And you got the actors reacting and they're looking up like, bullshit. You wouldn't even hear that in reality. It would be muffled. Their windows on that bridge that are open, and sound is only going to come through those open areas. Anything above it is going to muffle the sound and muffle all the high frequencies. Oh, load of bullshit. And yet people, oh my goodness, you people, dear oh dear, you can't tell that that is total utter bullshit. It's like when you see movies and you got actors driving a car, the camera is on the outside of that car, and you can hear the voices clear, all the high frequencies on their voices behind a bloody windshield. It's not like put the camera in the car, oh yeah, and then you change the angle, now and then. That makes sense. But when it's on the outside and they're driving the car and you don't even hear the sound of the wind blowing around or the loud sound of the car engine itself, and as well as all the rest of the traffic, and yet you hear their voices crystal bloody clear behind a bloody windshield. Movies like that, oh, I just can't stand it. I really can't stand it, especially when they got fake rear projection in it, and the car's shaking. You got the crew shaking the car, and they're pretending to drive, and you got fake rain coming down on the car, and you got this crystal clear bloody dialogue behind a fucking windshield on a car. Oh dear. I can't stand movies like that. I really can't stand movies like that. You do that, and you actually do that in the real world. You get a camera, put on the outside of a car, okay, mount it like how they do in the movies. So the camera is on the outside of the car, and then start reading some random dialogue, or reenact a scene from a movie. And I'll tell you, that camera is going to pick up the microphone on it is going to pick up a lot of noise from the engine, the wind blowing around, all the other traffic that's moving. You wouldn't hear any dialogue coming through that bloody glass on that windshield. It's impossible. Unless the car is stationary in a quiet road, parked, and if you're yelling inside the car, yelling and shouting, yeah, you may just hear it. But when you're having a normal conversation, don't get paranoid. There is no way anyone's going to hear your conversation, because you could put a microphone on the outside, and you can say, yeah, we're talking at this sort of normal level here, about maybe between 70 dB. There is no way you're going to hear it on the outside, not unless you've got the windows wound down. And yeah, of course you would hear it. Ugh. Bloody movies. What a load of bullshit. Oh dear. I'll tell you another flawed movie that's a load of bullshit is that movie Unbroken. When they're in the airplanes and they're firing, you got all these other airplanes moving around the airplane. Bullshit. You wouldn't even hear those bloody things moving around with all the with the top end. You wouldn't hear it. Bullshit. Too much noise inside the fuselage on that aircraft would be horrendously noisy. Thus, it causes audio frequency masking. Like when an airplane is coming toward it, though it goes underneath my seating, it won't in anyone else's home Trinov theatre, that you wouldn't hear that airplane going literally underneath. But when it does, it doesn't make sense, because you wouldn't hear it. You'd see it coming toward you. You might hear some very faint sound, but you don't hear it. Like in the filmics, it's all bullshit, because it's all fabricated, because they got control all over the soundtracks. all the individual track levels, and so they bullshit it a little bit. So it's not really an achievement in sound. It's not an achievement. It's bullshitting a little bit. But that's what the director wanted. She wanted some bullshit to bullshit the audience. You gotta be watching and listening, and then you know, oh, that's pretty good. Oh, that isn't pretty good. Because in reality, these things only happen once. Oh, you can play it over and over and over again in a movie, but a lot of it is total bullshit. You got to take it with a grain of salt. Like all that Tyrannosaurus, T-Rex, or Godzilla, King Kong bullshit crap. Footfalls. Oh, a lot of that is total bullshit. Just where a lot of people, oh, wow, oh, sub bass. Oh, it's ego. Your ego is getting in the way of science. It depends on many factors. I can actually hear people if I'm in bed in my bedroom, I can hear people running outside because the way the building is coupled to the ground, and any sort of, and this is just footsteps, for Christ's sake. It's not King Kong and all that bullshit. That's fantasy, for crying out loud. That's fictitious fantasy. But yeah. And but and you got to bear in mind the footwear that's been worn and such. And of course, if you went softly, or there's certain ways you can run and do it in a way so that it can generate less sort of impact. You do it in such a way, and it. I used to do it many years ago. It was a very unusual sort of running and sort of technique, and it does minimize, but I couldn't do it now with my what's it. Um, and I'm not saying exactly what I was doing, so it's kind of my secret. But it depends on footwear. I mean, you take a cat, for example, or a dog, they got soft paws. That's the next thing you know, your cat's bloody behind you. You didn't even notice it because they got soft paws. Though King Kong, he's a gorilla, he would have soft paws, and Godzilla, well, I don't know, he's bullshit. I don't care for Godzilla. I don't care for these Godzilla movies anymore. They're a load of trash. Bloody CGI, soulless, bloody load of trash. Just so you can buy a movie and you only watch it a couple of times and then it sits on the shelf gathering dust. So, yeah, for a first few days, and then guess what? You get over it. It's like go and take your medication, a home theatre shill. After a couple of days, you would forgot about that bloody movie. You wouldn't even be playing it again. Oh yeah, how many times did you go to the cinema and actually see it then, huh? Probably once. Back in my day, I see something, I hear something, and I film mix that's pretty decent, even though it's still got these teeny little flaws. I've probably seen it more, maybe 12 times. Apollo 13, 12 times. I didn't want to see it 13 times because that'd be bad luck. Because number 13, isn't it? I saw Titanic, and as well as I projected it. How many times did I see that movie? Crying out loud. Well over 10 times. Uh, um, saw Die Hard on its first national release. I saw that twice, and then I saw late night shows of it many years later, and those were only late night shows, and that was only like once. And then maybe the next year they show it again with other movies as well, action ones, and such. And I saw it again at a late night show, but twice only when it came out. Star Wars. Oh my goodness. Probably less than 11 times. I probably saw Star Wars maybe less than 11 times in the cinema. Um, Empire Strikes Back on its national release, probably less than 7 times. I don't know exact, but less than 7 times I saw it. Return of the Jedi, probably less than 4 times I saw it on its national release. And then I saw those movies again at a double bill and triple bill on a Cinerama screen. And that was just one day only. That was a few years later. And I can remember the exact auditorium, the exact cinema I saw it in. Star Wars played at the Gaumont downtown on the Cinerama screen upstairs with overhead surround speakers. It played in the downstairs auditorium in screen number 2 with side or left half, right half surround configuration and overhead surround speaker. I probably saw Star Wars in screen number 2. I saw Star Wars, in screen number 1 on day 1. So I heard that Star Destroyer day 1. I heard that Star Destroyer day 1 overhead. Probably saw it most in screen number 2. I saw it with a group of children my age and all that about a week or so later. And then I went back again and saw it again on my own and then with other friends a third time. And then it moved, and this is many months. That movie played in those auditoriums for months, literally. It's not the Star Wars Disney's Mary Sue sort of crap. It plays in these multi-crap plexes for about 1 week, and then it's gone and forgotten about. Thank goodness. It was garbage trash. It was just recycled, a carbon copy of the original, just with a Mary Sue running around with a lightsaber, for Christ's sake. I saw Empire Strikes Back in screen number 2. That's where it played. It didn't play in screen number 1. It played in screen number 2 for a couple of months. I saw that on its first day. I missed the first 15 minutes of the movie. This would have been in the afternoon, around about between 3 and 4 o'clock. And I stuck around to catch the next performance because I didn't know what was happening. And completely wowed by it. Then I went back about a week later, saw it again. Could have been during the day. And then I went again and saw it in the evening time, which would have been the last performance show during the week. It did late night shows, but those were only on, I think, Fridays and Saturdays. They did late night shows around about 11 o'clock, but I never saw those ones because I couldn't get out of the home. And if my dad found I'd been sneaking out just to go down the cinema, he would be extremely angry, as well as for my safety. that is. That's why you would be angry, because you'd be for the safety. Um, Return of the Jedi. Saw it in screen number 2. Only played in screen number 2. Saw that a couple of times, or 3, or less than. I think, like I said, I think less than maybe 5 times. I think. And then about a year later, they played as a triple bill. Of course, I saw Star Wars and Empire in screen number 2, screen number 1 upstairs on the Cinerama curved screen. That was a double bill. That was 1980, 82, I think. And then Star Wars Empire and Jedi. I think the very late of 1983 in screen number 1. And it was only a 1 day only. 2 performances. There were 2 performances. So that was they show Star Wars Empire Jedi, Star Wars Empire Jedi, and that was it. I think that's what they did. That was pretty wild, seeing Empire on a big, large Cinerama curved screen, though it wasn't original Cinerama, because it'd be scope. Cinerama 70mm goes round a lot. Scope is like there, and Cinerama go a little bit more wider and a little bit more higher. It makes IMAX look rubbish. Especially with the sound system. IMAX is pretty boring sometimes when you think of it. Technically, it is a little bit boring and dull. As well as I saw Star Wars in another cinema that was only up the road. Saw that there a couple of times. So it could be maybe about 7 times or so I saw it, but not in the same cinema. Twice at another cinema I saw it, twice I think, and it was only playing in mono, wasn't Dolby Stereo. And I didn't see Empire or Jedi in that other cinema. Nope. Yeah. Yeah, it's like in Star Wars. It sounds total bullshit when you get where they're doing the TIE fighters chasing the Millennium Falcon, and you hear all these TIE fighters. You hear it. You move. I'm doing all this. I'm hearing the pannings and the Hass effects and so forth. And how the bloody hell can you hear all that through the Millennium Falcon's hull metal's got to be so many inches or whatever thick. It's in a bloody vacuum, for Christ's sake. Yeah, and like, can you possibly hear that? Oh dear. But back then, people were completely and thinking, though probably some adults would be a little bit more mature in listening and thinking, that doesn't make sense. To a child, it's like, oh, wow. As you get older, you get a bit more, wise, and then you know what is bullshit and what isn't bullshit. But it is entertaining after all. It is entertaining, but inaccurate. And why can't you hear them going underneath you? Because you got the you got the Millennium Falcon. You got these TIE fighters. Mostly you hear them going overhead, sort of, or around it. But that surely they'd be going underneath it as well, because it's in space. you know. And why don't you? This is why I'm a big advocate for having. I think there should be discrete below surround so you can hear it going underneath or going along the floor, giving and with mixing technique, give the illusion of distance as well. And you think, wow, wow, you know, and that's got where the scene is taking place inside in the interior, and you know it sounds are going below you, though you wouldn't really hear it. um, but it would make the sound interesting because Atmos is bullshit. It is a gimmick. It is not 3D audio. It's bullshit. If it were 3D audio, it'd have a below surround channel. Though I've got a Matrix one in my home. Everyone else, they don't have it. You don't have it in your home. I do. You don't. It's easy to put it in. Easy. Easy peasy. If you want to keep listening and following Dolby's spec bullshit, well, you're entitled to follow their bullshit spec. But Atmos is bullshit. It's more like a it's more like it's not even really a 2.5D. It's more like a 2D sound effect bullshit thing. It's not 3D. Otherwise, I hear sound in this level sort of thing, and then it goes up, and it comes back down, and it goes up, and it comes, and that's all it bloody does. Unless, of course, it's my system here, and with certain sound pans on things and such, it gives an illusion like there and that, and it's like, whoa, I'm looking downward this way. Yeah. But that's doing it through specific matrix decoders, so it can steer some of those half phantom sound signals and steer it into a different direction. And of course, like with when you play sine wave tone frequencies, I could put speakers on the floor, play sine wave tone, and I'm going to be hearing the same phenomena with maybe a speaker down here, behind here, down there. I'll be able to hear it sort of the tone frequency shifting and moving its position around in the room. When you play the sine wave on the overhead, sometimes it sounds like it's overhead, and then the other time, on the next frequency, it sounds like it's behind your seating or shifting back or whatever. It does all that shit. Yeah. So what's next, Trinov? You're going to put bass waveforming on the overhead surround speakers. Good luck with that. I think you'd have a lot on your plate. Frankly, I don't really give a shit, because if you listen very carefully to reality and what things are happening on what frequencies and sounds they're doing, but you got to be there with a recorder to capture it. But you're going to capture a sound, but it's not going to play back. When you play it back in stereo, or you're not going to hear it like binaural, like, oh yeah, it actually sounds like it's going downward below or whatever. You got to mix it. You got to dissect that recording and then manufacture it into a fabrication mix. And otherwise our mind is way more clever than some bloody recording device. That's why you got to mix it. That's why you got to engineer put extra more channels, and they got to be now for discrete below surround channel, and it's a cluster of speakers. You can't just have a speaker over here, a speaker over there on the floor. It won't work. You got to have a cluster going literally across the floor. Otherwise, what's the point? And the same applies really for the overhead. The the screen, the side walls, the back wall, because sounds are going to move around in specific areas. Or it'd be like someone tapping on the wall and it's only going to sound in a specific location. When you hear it in a mix, it's like, not too sure. I hear a knocking, but I'm not really too sure where the actual position is. Do we fucking care? Honestly, I don't fucking care really anymore. I don't care. To mix all that would probably take a whole year to do that. Not a couple of months. You can't do it in a couple of months. It would take a year. It's too complex. And then they'll be pumping out Dolby Atmos movies very little because of the complexity. You got to put such tremendous amount of psychoacoustic detail into it to fool the listener, particularly a trained listener, into thinking, wow. But speakers, where the fuck do they go? They're usually attached on the wall, on the ceilings, on the floor, on the up at front. That's where they're attached. You don't get people walking up to you, people walking up to you and saying hello, blah blah blah. It doesn't happen that in a mix. You can't do that. It's not possible. Or coming up close to you and whispering in your ear. Lifelike sound. Oh dear, it's a gimmick. It is an extended version of stereo beyond stereo beyond stereo beyond stereo. It's just basically put stereo speakers there, stereo speakers up there, stereo speakers along the side walls, da 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 da. Put them in zones so you can pan sound from one speaker to the next speaker to the next speaker. Da 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 da. Oh, how boring. And you got to sit in luxury Velision seating just to listen to some crap fabricated, poorly sound mixed movie. Atmos. Dear, oh dear. And yet we go outdoors and we listen to the real thing. Doesn't cost a penny. Amazing, isn't it? And it's got all those nuances, all those little nuances, all those little teeny little details. And the rest. Oh dear. What will they think of next? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What will they think of next? Oh, oh gosh, I'm exhausted. All this BS today. Shaka car. Shaka car. Shaka car. Shaka car. Go home. There's nothing more to see. Go. Shaka car. But like fools, we like to still listen to Dolby Atmos. It's not fool's gold, it's more like fools listening. Oh dear. I couldn't even bring myself to playing that movie again midway. Oh dear. Or any of those other Roland Emmerichs, the bloody Moonfall. Was it Moonfall or Moonrise? Whatever it was called. Oh, and for the other myth, yeah, the overhead surround speakers can go below 20 hertz. They do have infrasonic range because it's doing the same bullshit like all the other speakers. All the whole system, or each channel in a system can go from 5 hertz up to 20,000, and it just depends on what's mixed in those channels. Life is like an infrasonic. You never know what infrasonic you're going to get. Boring Atmos. Yeah, sub bass, phase, frequency, time delay. Oh, getting all the frequencies to sound all the same, which is ideal once you got the speaker specifically. But then it's randomly going to move around with a music or a film mix. Even if you rig a microphone up to your system and do actual speaking to the speakers itself, or well, you won't be speaking into the speakers. No, the speakers were reproducing the voice, but I could plug a microphone into my system and start talking out my speakers if I want to. Yeah, how many home theaters can do that? It's easy to do, but how many home theaters would do that? And then you can see on the RTA response your actual voice sound, and then you verse that compared to a film mix, and it's like, bloody hell, there's so much detail missing in this film mix, in the dialogue, because you got sound effects with it, and you got music going on with it, and so you got to have a compromise. You can't play the whole lot all at the same time, and expect dialogue to have its specific track, its specific speaker, where it can have a little bit more dynamic range. But when you got to feel you got music on top of it, just as I suppose in reality, an orchestra is playing. None of this live PA crap music, but an orchestra, and then you start yelling and shouting or raising your voice, versus the musical instruments, because there'll be certain musical instruments that would mask or certain mask affect the voice, and it'll always be up and down, up and down, up and down, all these frequencies moving around. Ugh. What's that sound I hear? Oh, someone's got a washing machine going. I can hear a washing machine below me. That's interesting. The way it's sounding and resonating through the walls. I think my microphone's picking up the washing machine. I've got one frequency at around about 35 hertz, No, about 33 hertz. If I go to Spectrum Lab, I might see a different detail. It's on very fast spin, that washing machine, I can hear. Oh, it's gradually started to decelerate or change speed. See if it shows on the Spectrum Lab. Oh yeah, I saw a little bit there. I need to increase the microphone gain if I can. Oh, it's on max already. Not sure if I can boost it, but I'm seeing a sine wave at 20 hertz on a washing machine, but it's not I'm not getting too much pickup on the other frequency. At least that's what I'm seeing. I'll see if that drops down. It could be a fault. I might be seeing, but I did see it on the. But I am seeing something there on the REW, about 20 hertz. Let's see if it goes down. Because it seems like the washing machine's rinsing the water out on the washing. I see other frequencies there as well. But it's not vibrating at 20 hertz just because I can see the frequency. You know, everyone thinks, oh, 20 hertz, and you should feel a lot of vibration. It depends. I'm seeing something maybe around 40 and 60 hertz. Just put that there. About there, maybe. About there. See if it drops down. It's got to be coming up near to the end of its cycle, because the washing machine. Oh, hang on. It's got to be coming up to its program, because a washing machine goes through so many programs. I can increase that. I think I can. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm seeing the pitch change in the frequencies. Yeah, it's changing frequency. It's pitching. Yeah, the frequency has shifted, and it's stepped down a little bit. It's stepped down a little bit. That frequency has gone down a bit. It's shifted frequency and it's stepping down through the RPM, revolutions per minute. That's not too bad, that microphone. Oh, I can see a motorbike there. I see a motorbike moving in the frequency there. Oh, it's changing pitch. And it's going down at 20. I'll go to spectrum. Now I should see the... Yeah, I can see... Oh, that frequency there is going down to at least 13 hertz. 10 hertz. So as the washing machine would come into the end of its program and it's slowing down, this is what Disney discovered when they were slowing the speed of sound down on recordings. They discovered that, oh, it's producing low frequencies, and this is going back many, many, many decades. And so when it decelerates, it will do some infrasonic low frequency. Though I couldn't hear it, but the microphone picks it up pretty clearly. It's pretty quiet there now. Just occasional normal random noise. Yeah, that's not bad. That microphone picks up that. Yeah, pretty clever that. Almost better than a film mix, and it picks up all the reality. Whereas on a film mix, it probably wouldn't have had the acceleration going down into 20, down to what frequency again was? Did it say? Did it went down to? I forgot what frequency in the infrasonic. I think it went down to 13 or 10 hertz. I think I said. Yeah. And that's the reality. Oh dear. Oh. Oh. Oh dear. Oh my goodness. It's amazing. Something like that. Oh, can block your nose passage. And the airflow going through your nose. Oh. Oh, got another one out. Oh dear. That's two of them. Look at the size of them. Oh, it's amazing. That's a little bit better. I can feel air moving through my nose passage now. Oh, hang on. Still got one there. Oh, dear. Oh, that's better than Dolby Atmos, I can tell you that. Oh, whew, amazing. You know, our nose passage and yet breathing, you blow them out. It also balances the pressure in your ears, you know. Oh, boy, as well as the rest of your body function, breathing and such. Oh dear, that was, you missed a very good part in the video where a washing machine being picked up downstairs below me, picked up on the microphone. And when the washing program was coming to the end, the frequency goes all the way down to 10 hertz. Amazing. I think my washing machine would do the same thing. I know my refrigerator, when I close my refrigerator door, produces some infrasonic low frequency, which is pretty amazing. Though you don't hear that probably in a film mix, say like I'm trying to think how many movies, and where there might be the sound of a refrigerator door closing or something. But it depends, I hadn't put the microphone in the kitchen. Well, I think I have done that before. Put the microphone in the kitchen, close the door, open and close it, and then come back in, look at the spectrum lab, and then see where the frequencies are located. Though I've done it many times in here. I go in the kitchen, open the door, close it, open, close it, and I come back in, I can see infrasonic low frequencies because of the pressure of opening the door and then closing, and it creates this, the size of the refrigerator door that is, and it creates this air pressure, which is not stupid SBL levels like most people with their stupid sub bass in their home theaters. And you've probably got wads and wads and wads of harmonic frequencies playing as well. Yeah, that's, it sounds natural. Oh, turn that SBL meter off. Like if I walk around the room with the microphone, how much low frequency or what frequencies does it pick up on? Well, it depends on the floor surface, footwear, and what is it actually picking up. And if it's there, then that should be captured in the recording. It should be used because that is essentially what is there. But you can't reproduce it in a film mix. You can't reproduce it accurately because footsteps are going to be depending on where the camera angle is to where the footsteps are and everything. If it's a wide shot and people walking around, it's very difficult to tell. If it's something close up, near, not sort of very sort of, yeah. But do we really care? It's very easy for ourselves to do infrasonic bass frequencies or infrasonic frequencies, even if you're sat in a seat and doing sort of like moving, rocking the seat, you feel vibration, low frequency vibration. But it's not none of this stupid bragging, oh, I got 33-inch sub bass speakers and it's doing 110 SBL when I'm rocking the seat bullshit. If you rock it rock it a little bit hard, it makes very loud other audible frequencies, and those frequencies are going to get in the way of some of the very lower frequencies or vibrations, and these frequencies just cause masking effect. And then it's a case of like taking those other frequencies and bringing them down in a mix so you can feel, oh yeah, the infrasonic, and you still hear these other frequencies, but they're not up here too much. Otherwise, anything that's too high goes over the top. OTT, over the top, and you just get masking. Oh gosh. Yeah. Atmos is a gimmick. Anyway, on free.